Hey, everybody, welcome. And thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here today with Monica and Ben. I met Monica in Orlando at the Relational Life Therapy Conference. She was immediately intriguing to me because she's written a book with a great title that I wish I had thought of first. It's called Bad Marriage Advice. Today, we talked to her and Ben. They've been together for a very long time. They have weathered several significant ups and downs, and they've had to grapple with bad marriage advice and also try to figure out how to pass some of it on to their kids. It was a delightful conversation. I'm glad to share it with you. Before we start, I want to remind you about our Patreon. I have started doing some interviews with couples that I'm calling 15 Questions in 15 Minutes. It's pretty exciting. If you are interested in answering 15 questions in 15 minutes, shoot me an email. You can do that at info@marriagetherapyradio.com. And if you are not yet a member of our Patreon community, please consider joining over there. You can go to patreon.com/marriagetherapyradio. Becoming a paid member is a great way to support Marriage Therapy Radio and keep us on the air. I'm grateful. I also am continuing to write. I'm proud of myself over at stuffIwrite.com. I've been publishing weekly articles or thoughts, blog posts, I guess, about things that aren't strictly relationship related, but are on my mind. If that's of interest to you, go to stuffIwrite.com. You can become a subscriber over there. I want to thank those of you who have joined up recently. It's fun to have you on board, and it's good to be accountable to creative thinking. So yeah. Join our Patreon. Check me out at stuffIwrite.com. Hang out with Monica and Ben. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. How you doing? Thanks so much for coming on with me. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Monica, the coach, and Ben, the civilian.
Yeah, just a civilian.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
I think we did like a really brief one a few years ago, and it was pretty miserable. So I vowed never to do it again.
Oh no! What was miserable about it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't like talking about myself. It's probably more than anything.
All right.
It's uncomfortable.
Well, I was going to open with an open-ended question and just say, Ben, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Oh wait, you're being serious, huh?
No, it's fine. I get you. I'm not trying to antagonize you at all. You guys have been married how long?
23 years.
And you have how many children?
4.
What's that like? Who are they?
So our oldest is almost 22.
He just turned 22.
Oh, I guess he did. Last week he just turned 22. So he is with his new bride of, 3 months now? 2 months?
Oh, wow, love. It's like a month.
No, 2 months.
They got married May 3rd. You're right. 2 months.
My oldest daughter, who is... Bern is almost 19. Then you have Sophie, who's going to be a junior this year, and she's almost 17.
Okay.
And she's here in town with us, and Ike, who is, Ike's 13, going to be 14 in September. So
I have this theory. Mine are 18 and 22. I have this theory that I've been leaning into for the last few years. Tell me if you agree, that I think parenting young adults is harder than parenting young children.
Yeah, they're obviously a lot more complicated, right? They've got a lot more going on, and decisions
and they have opinions
are more weighted. What's that?
Yeah. And they have opinions.
Oh, definitely opinions
and personalities. Yeah,
they do dumb stuff. Yeah,
right on. And Monica, what are you up to? You're coaching, and you wrote this book that I'm interested to talk about. I didn't tell you this when I met you in Orlando, but I pitched a book to a publisher, and it was called Quit Working on Your Marriage. No, actually, that wasn't the book I pitched. That was a new title. The first title I put was Happily Ever After is a Myth, but it was the same thing. It was like all the cliches and stuff that you think are true about relationships are not. And then you were like, mine's called Bad Marriage Advice. And I was like, that's a great title. I love that title. But where did that come from for you?
It's really interesting because, like my husband said, my son's been married for 2 months.
Yeah.
He's so young. I mean, he just barely turned 22, right? So he and his bride are super young.
Yeah.
And they came to us and, he said, I met this girl. I'm madly in love with her. I want to marry her. And I just thought, my brain just started racing with all the things I've learned about marriage in our 23 years and then working with couples. And so I sat down to just write him this note, and it turned into this book. But really, it was centered around like, here's what people are going to tell you, or here's what society has taught you, but it's not true. Like, here's the problem with that.
So like, what's on the list?
So many things. I mean,
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think I know one that you're going to say because I saw it on your website. When I teach publicly, one of the ice-breaking questions I always say is, what's the worst marriage advice you ever had? 100% of the time, one of them comes up. Do you know what it is?
happy wife, happy life.
It's not that one. It's the second one.
Don't go to bed angry.
Don't go to bed angry. Everybody says this is terrible advice, and I agree, it is terrible advice. But talk to me about why happy wife, happy life is a myth.
Well, I mean, just when you first say it, I mean, you're going to build a relationship on the premise that one partner's happiness is more important than the other's, right? Like, I mean, already it's just bad marriage advice.
Yeah.
But it breeds a lot of contention because it's so common. I mean, you hear it all the time. In fact, I see on social media all the time, there's, the guy walking around with the microphone and he finds this older couple and, he's like, what's the secret to happiness? And they're always like, she's the boss. She wears the pants, she's in charge. And we know from our RLT training, you can't build a great relationship on the premise of only one person getting their way.
Yeah, totally. Actually, Ben, I'll ask you this question. Monica filled out a form in advance of the interview, and I asked her on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you in the relationship? And 10 is good and 1 is bad. Do you have any idea what she put?
Wait, do I have an idea what she put as far as ranking from 1 to 10?
Do you think she ranked it?
I would say she probably put like an 8.
Okay. What do you think you would put?
Well, that's what I would say I put.
You put an 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. Monica, what'd you put?
What'd you put?
I put a 10.
Oh, nothing's perfect, right?
Well, that's what I think. I always look at 10s and I'm like, I don't know. What are you hiding? Like, what's going on there?
I totally agree, Zach. Everyone's a work in progress. I mean, we're trying to get to where we want to be, but nothing's baked. But I would say we're progressing.
I mean, this is a good area of inquiry for me. Sometimes, like, these numbers, they're arbitrary, it's unscientific, it doesn't really matter. Like, but it says something, right? I think people who, for example, they say 8, but 3 months ago we were a 4, they're doing better perhaps than people who are a 9, but they've been a 9 forever, right? There's nothing, they're not growing, they're not learning, there's nothing that they can look at and go, see, we're growing in this area. But I'd love to hear about, you sort of hinted at this idea of, somebody walking around with a microphone saying, what's the secret to a happy marriage? Oh, she's the boss. Like, that's not going to be your answer. But what would you guys say? What is it? What's the secret to you averaging a 9?
I guess we do average a 9, which again, that seems high. I think that's the whole point is being able to get better as individuals. And I think being better as individuals makes you better as a spouse. So I don't view myself anywhere close to where I want to be. I view myself, like you said, just trying to improve, and working on myself. So I think I show up better in marriage. And if Monica's doing the same, then she shows up better in the marriage. A 9's a frightening. That's a frightening number because I think that means we're close. And I think we're trying to get there, but we've got a long ways to go. Well, as an individual, I'll speak for myself. I've got a long ways to go. So collectively, I feel like we probably have some distance to. There's a gap there.
Monica, what can you tell me about choosing 10 as your number?
Well, first of all, I think he's really smart. I mean, he doesn't give himself enough credit. I definitely think he's a 9. Like, he's. My funny answer is he's bringing us down.
Yeah.
But, my real answer is, marriage is a lot about collaboration and working together. And, it takes a lot of courage to be honest and to confront yourself and to constantly be working on yourself. And I think he does a really good job of that. I love where we're at. I mean, so I guess if you had said 10 is perfect, I might not have said a 10, but you said 10 is really great.
Yeah.
Really good. So
you feel really good about it.
I feel really good about our marriage. I mean, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I think we're at a place I'm happier than I've ever been. I love being married to him. We have so much fun together, and it's so fun. I think the place where our kids are at are really fun.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to complain about at this very
that's
moment.
amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you attribute that to?
That's a great question. I mean, for me, I attribute it to we're very intentional.
Yeah.
I, for one, work very hard on myself and on the marriage. And as you could tell by his answer, he does as well. So, it's not ever going to happen by accident. But I think that we are both very committed to doing the work, and we make it really fun. I don't know. What would you say?
I think we keep expectations in check. We've lived long enough to realize we are fallible, and we each make mistakes. And just realizing that's life. I think we've both matured through the years together. And what used to get me all hot and bothered and upset doesn't as much, because I realize that, I do that too. The idea that we both make mistakes, and that we are okay saying I'm sorry to each other, and we're okay disagreeing, I think that's very helpful. And we're both, I would say, reasonable.
Do you have in your own life examples of where, say, bad marriage advice has crept up and you've had to grapple with the impact of that?
Good question.
You start.
Well, you start.
Well, I think the easiest answer is the don't go to bed angry. I mean, I lost so much sleep in the beginning of our marriage because, we would be angry or irritable or, picking at each other late at night, and he would just turn over and go to sleep. And I would feel so abandoned. I would just spiral like, no, we're not supposed to go to bed angry. And how can you sleep? And I would sob loudly, hoping to wake him up. And I would like jostle him awake. And I would be like, you can't just sleep. I'm so upset. And, that for years, I think was really, really challenging for us until I finally could, I stayed up late journaling so much that I realized I feel really abandoned when he does that. And so I was able to express to him why, my experience around abandonment and why that was so difficult for me. And so we kind of came up with a solution that he would say, I love you. I'm not going anywhere. Right now I need to get some sleep. We'll talk about it in the morning. And I remember it was a big turning point for me in our relationship, because up until that point, I'm a fixer.
Okay. And
so when we would get into conflict, I would immediately try to fix it. I would always apologize first. I was like, I'm so sorry. Let's not be mad. What can I do to fix this? And so for a long time in our marriage, he never apologized because I never really gave him the opportunity to. I was just really quick to want to fix things. And late at night was no different. And so it wasn't until I could, he could say those words and I could calm my nervous system down enough to get some sleep, that he would always apologize in the morning. And so it was really cool because I was like, oh, wow, he does apologize. But, he wakes up before me. And so he would always roll over, put his arm around me and say, I'm sorry. And then we would talk about it. And so I think that was a big turning point for us in our marriage, when I could finally just go to bed angry.
You have a point of view on that, Ben?
Yeah. When she says that I would say, I love you, I'm not going anywhere, that was through clenched teeth. Those were long nights, and we really felt like that was something that had to be done. We had to be okay with each other before we went to bed. And I was so irritated and tired. It was miserable. So Monica wears her emotions on her sleeve, and she's emotional. I think we're all emotional to an extent. We're all emotional, but she wears it out there. I just need some quiet, and it takes me a while to process and get a level head. So that I just need time. So the whole, hey, we need to fix this now thing does not work. So for me, give me some time, let me sleep about it. And, or if it's during the day, I'll go for a walk and I'll clear my head a little bit.
Yeah.
But I need to process information first, and then I can feel comfortable with where we're at and realize where I'm wrong.
How did you guys learn how to do that? Did you have was there a moment? Was there a specific event or incident? Like, did it just dawn on you slowly? How did you come to kind of negotiate terms in this place?
It came naturally in the beginning of our marriage. We both felt like this was a thing, and Monica thought we were getting divorced on multiple occasions because I don't like leaving in an argument. In fact, I think that I actually really dislike when someone leaves an argument, but the need to process the information, I would do that. I would say, hey, I'm just going to go do this. I'm not leaving, but I just need to go do this. And
that took time for you to be able to say, I'm not leaving, but I need to go
for sure
about it. He would just leave for the first part of it. And that's when I would be so triggered that I was like, oh my gosh, it's over. So he did learn how to tell me, take distance responsibly.
Yeah, that's true. So through the years, it's funny. I would say we're just not that bright because finally, I mean, this is after, I would say maybe 10 years at least, where I just said, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. Like, let's pick this up in the morning. And it just came naturally that we just realized that we just need to sleep on it. And so I wish we would have figured that out a lot earlier. In fact, I feel silly that we didn't because it would have saved a lot of sleepless nights and, annoyance, irritation.
Do you have any idea how you learned how to leave? Like how you learned to shut down or just, back out? Where did that come from for you in your life?
I think it just came naturally. I would stick with it and we would get even more heated and more contentious. And,
is that something like you learned how to do did your parents do that? Did your dad do that? Did you learn is that how you survived in your house? Like how did that become a skill that you had?
Well, that's just it. It wasn't shown to me. My parents didn't argue. They were very rare. I would say, I never saw my parents argue.
Huh.
And that's not normal,
Yeah.
And it's to be true, Zach.
Not much is normal, by the way.
What's that?
There's not much that is normal, by the way.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree with that. What's normal, right?
Yeah.
But my parents just didn't argue a lot either. My dad was very sensitive and very patient and very kind. He was a very good person, and my mom was too. And so they really. It's not like they didn't have disagreements, but they didn't get loud and they didn't get heated with each other, which is actually really impressive.
Yeah. For a long time when I joined the family, they had this thing where his parents never raised their voices, like not to each other, not to the kids. And I came from such a different background that, when we first got married, I was like trying all the things to try and, get his attention.
Fix. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, my family, there's a lot of raised voices, there's raised voices, there's, grabbing the keys and taking off. There's, all kinds of very dramatic demonstrations of I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting, Zach. When I first married into Monica's family, they would yell at each other like openly in just a group setting. And it was so uncomfortable to me. And I was like, holy crap, what is wrong with these people?
Yeah.
And they would all like mock me and say, "Oh, Ben, you're just easy. You're chill. You're just
nothing ruffles your feathers."
And I'm like, not really, but I don't openly, go to bat with people in front of like it just seems so awkward. But anyway, when they asked me how I was doing, I'm good. Like, and I was just good. I'm not
going to make this worse.
Yeah, I'm not interested in making things worse. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm a little bit like you. This is kind of what I'm wondering about, like, because I'm like, oh, I recognize some of the behavior that you're describing, particularly married to someone who's a little more anxious and who wants to fix things. And, what's interesting, I don't know if you guys have this experience, is that Rebecca, my wife, usually knows if I'm shutting down before I do. Like she can tell before I sometimes can that I'm withdrawing or that I'm retreating. And that all that does is like raise her spidey senses even more. And so we've had to really, really both grow in that space. And I'm always interested in how people do that because, I definitely learned it from, having two parents who were inclined to Cold War. Like it wasn't, they didn't argue out loud but they weren't like your parents either. But like you could tell And the best thing you could do was just like get the heck out of there so that you didn't somehow end up on the wrong side of the border. So I would just go to Switzerland, which was soccer practice or my job or my girlfriend's house or something. So I have lots of practice of just like getting out of anything that begins to feel uncomfortable. So
yeah. And I have massive abandonment issues. I mean, in my experience growing up is, people left.
Yeah.
People took off and didn't come back really.
Yeah.
And so, that was really triggering for me that he could just disengage and go quiet like that. And so I did a lot of work on myself for a lot of years. So now when he, I think I can tell when he's kind of disengaging, but I know now, from so much experience that he's just going to think about it and he's going to come back with a clear level head. And so I just give him his space now.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. Which is why going to bed angry is like, I think, sure, go to bed angry. Because if you're going to wake up peaceful, your body has done you a favor. Now, some people can't sleep and they toss and turn all night. But for some of us, we just need our bodies to actually come online and get the rest that it needs and get whatever else it needs. Have you ever felt like you're doing your life next to your partner instead of with them? I feel like that sometimes, and I hear from clients a lot. As you know, Rebecca and I downloaded the Paired app, and it's been a surprisingly fun way to check in without feeling like we're working on the relationship. I do think relationships take work, but it should be more like trying to win the amazing race than, chopping rocks in Siberia labor farm or something like that. One of the questions that we just got was, what makes you feel lucky in your relationship? Rebecca's answer caught me off guard. In the best way. I think I actually said, wait, really? And she said, yeah, really. And that one little moment shifted our whole day. Another prompt asked, would you rather never hold hands again or never spoon again? And it sparked this playful debate in the kitchen. And then later, well, let's just say we did both. Paired is an app for couples who want to connect more deeply, laugh more often, and discover new things about each other. You answer daily quizzes, questions, and games. And the twist is you don't see your partner's answer until you respond. So it's honest, pressure-free, and often kind of delightful. So whether you're just a few dates in or you've been together for a long time, find time to connect with your partner and nourish your relationship. Start strengthening your relationship in an easy, fun way. And it only takes about 5 minutes a day. Head to paired.com/MTR. Get a 7-day free trial and 25% off if you sign up for a subscription. Just head to paired.com/MTR to sign up today. Monica, you said something a little bit earlier that I want to check in on, not just for you, but also for anyone who's listening, because you said something that I don't like it when people say, and it's okay, but here's what it is. You said, sometimes I feel abandoned. And when I'm talking to my clients about feelings, I want them to talk to me about what their body feels like. I feel cold, I feel hot. As soon as you say, I feel like, you're moving away from your body, right? And as soon as you say, I feel like you, it's no longer a feeling, it's a judgment. And I think when people say, I feel abandoned, what they're saying is, I feel like you're abandoning me, which isn't a feeling, it's a judgment. But abandoned feels like something. And so I wonder if you are in tune with that. Like, what does abandoned feel like in your body?
So for me, it's like a full-on panic stress, like cortisol, like, I
feel sweaty. I feel...
Yes, it's like 3
anxious.
alarm, like this, you are in danger.
I feel afraid.
Now. Yeah. Yes. So I used to feel all of those things when he would be able to, when he would leave, whether it was, when he would just disengage in the conversation, which sometimes he does, sometimes he kind of reaches his level of, I can't listen anymore. And so I can tell he's just kind of turned on his side, or he's not looking at me, or he will physically leave the premises. Yeah. And it's like a full on panic response. Like, oh my gosh, like I've done something horrible and he's not going to come back. But that was my experience. It's like that idea of you're not responding to what's in front of you. You're responding to something from your past. And that, was it.
Well, that's why it's so important, right? For you to say, I feel abandoned. I'm sure that's true. Ben can go, I didn't abandon you.
Right.
I just needed a break. I just needed to sleep, Now, I feel lonely. I feel anxious. I feel sweaty. Oh man, that's terrible.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Well, and yeah, and some of that's not your fault because that's my parents or that's my first partner or that's my, I got left at the mall accidentally by my babysitter when I was 7. And people want to poo-poo that stuff sometimes, but this is where I go, it's your body though. Your body remembers this stuff. Your body feels what it feels,
So are you saying it's more your body than your mind? Or is that connected to your body?
Well, of course, your mind is in your body, right? But what I'm saying is, and it doesn't have to be like a physical sensation, but the reality is that like right now, you're not paying attention to the way the cushion feels under your butt until I say, hey, pay attention to how the cushion feels under your butt. And you'll feel different pressure points in the different parts of your bottom, and it might feel cold. You might go, oh yeah, look, my skin is touching this piece, but right here, my shorts are touching. And unless we're like literally paying attention, sometimes it's easy to let that stuff go. And so what we say is, I think we get lazy and we say, oh, I feel abandoned. I feel rejected. I feel used without going, but this is what that actually feels like. And so it's the mind that wants to fill in the gaps and say, oh, this is what it means that I feel these things, right? It means versus the body that goes, but this is what it actually is. And so I think a lot of like leveling up as an aware person is just checking in with like, what do I actually feel? And, again, my wife can tell that I feel stuff before I can feel it. And I might have to actually pay attention and go, yeah, I am kind of angry right now. It doesn't feel like hot rage inside my chest, but it does. But I do understand that like, right. Yeah. This thing that I feel right now, this is anger. And that helps me go, now whose responsibility is that? Is that mine? Is that hers? And it's usually mine, right? It's usually mine to go deal with. So
yeah, interesting.
It is really interesting. It took a lot of communication for the two of us because he doesn't have experiences like that. So I really had to express myself well for him to understand, because in his experience, there's always been enough love. Like nobody's ever taken love away. Like, that's not his experience growing up. Whereas for me, the punishment for bad behavior or even just being was to withdraw love. And so that's what it felt like to me when he would disengage. I felt like he was withdrawing love from me. And that was a very scary place to be in. But he didn't have that experience. That's not part of his repertoire. So I had to really figure out for me what that was.
Yeah.
And then be able to express it to him in a way that he could not understand because he's experienced it, but he could empathize with my experience of it.
Totally. And, again, you got 23 years in. Do you think that you have an awareness of distinct phases of growth for yourselves? Like, can you go, oh, phase 1 of our relationship was like this, and phase 2 was like this, and phase 3 was like this. And then here we are. And this is what the experience of phase 5 or 12 or 48 is like. Do you have any sense of that for yourselves as you reflect from here?
Man. Well, it'd be hard for me to pinpoint that. I definitely know that I see and feel the growth that we've had together. And part of it's, what we've done, Monica has done an exceptional job of, raising our children and, initially starting business together. And then I kind of took more of that and she, did more of the, spending more time in teaching and grooming our children. So, and through there, I think you can kind of see phases of growth from what we each have done in our own spheres. But as far as like just our relationship itself, I think it'd be harder to pinpoint. I don't know.
Some of those are really easy, right? Like before we had kids, it was like this. After we had kids, it was like that. Or before we had kids leaving, it was like this. And after we had kids leaving, it was like that. Sometimes I just wonder though, because I think if we're not aware of those phases, they sneak up on us. And that's where we end up. I don't know, Monica, if you have this experience, a lot of people come in 20 or so years in and they say something like, oh man, we just feel like roommates. Like this is like, we're just ships in the night. We're just kind of passing. But it sounds like you guys have plenty of reason to stay tethered. You got kids in the house still. You currently do, or you used to run a business together?
So we used to. We started together, and then Monica acted as she did all the bookkeeping as well as the payroll. The blessing to her was when we got to a point where we could hire an accountant. I ran it from there for another 18 years or so.
Yeah, probably comes with its own confusing, sort of boundary issues when you're trying to figure out what hat to wear. Am I the CEO and the accountant right now, or am I the lover and the friend right now? Like, how does that? Certainly, you've had to gain some experience or some insight into that as well.
Yeah, that there were some difficult times there, especially in the beginning, where her time was very limited. Yet I had pretty high expectations of getting things done and being able to operate. Yeah, it was a blessing to be able to for her not to have to wear multiple hats, and where I was already wearing multiple hats. Starting your own company is always a very busy, challenging thing and very stressful. So when you can delegate some responsibility, it's a great. But you can't do it until you can afford to do it, right? So it's a great part of growth.
You're still running the business?
No. No, we sold everything.
All right.
So,
great.
We started offices in multiple states, and just one by one, you have to have a certain amount of years of P&L. And when it became time, we sold off offices, and Boise was the last one. And I was approached by a group that I thought would be really fun to work with, and so I sold the last office we sold the last office in January of last year. So,
cool. What was it?
Pest control companies.
And now, what are you doing now? Do you just you get to hang out and do whatever you want, or do you have another thing that you've taken on?
So we've tried that. One of our bigger offices was in Dallas, Texas, and when I sold that one, I thought, I'm good. I think I'll just work out and do some yard work here and there, and that was exceptionally boring. I absolutely hated it. So I knew when I finally sold Boise, I had to do something that would really engage me, or I would go crazy. And I think I would make Monica crazy too. I don't sit still very well, and so anyway, it's a local company here that's been around for 50 years, and it's not pest control. They need it. My role is just kind of on the leadership team, and we just run it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're staying busy. Meanwhile, Monica's coaching, doing marriage stuff, and she's got this book that she's leaning about, and her podcast and other things. Did you ever? What's that like, being married to a relationship expert? I always ask people this question because we get it all the time. My wife especially. She's like, "Oh, you guys must be, doing great." So I wonder what it's like. You ever go? I don't know.
When I make him do podcasts.
Yeah. So I think it'd be different if social media wasn't part of it. In order to get the word out and kind of share what Monica does, she's very active on social media. Yeah. I have zero social media and don't want anything to do with it. And so people that I know, people that work for us and friends, and they're very aware of what Monica does. And that's kind of uncomfortable, if I'm being honest, because she's sharing part of our life and I'm more of a private person. Yeah. And they're saying, "Hey, I see you just got back from, this, and it looks like you guys had a great time." My first instinct still is like, how did you know that?
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm looking at a picture of you right now in a tuxedo. You look very handsome. Looks like you're like the man of the hour.
Yeah. That was probably one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever done.
Was it an event, or were you just at a photo shoot, or how did you pull that off?
It was more like a photo shoot, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was actually one of my clients gifted us that photo shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So what are you doing? How are you making it work? What's your shtick for people? What are your goals, and how does your relationship with Ben in particular, serve those goals?
Yeah. I don't know if you can tell from this interview, but we have a lot of fun together. I mean, we're best friends, we're lovers, we're adventure buddies. Yeah. I mean, sometimes he's a pain in my ass, but most of the time we get along really well. And we're teammates, and we're friends and confidants, and we talk about everything. And I feel like our marriage went from really difficult, trying to bring together two very different people, two very different experiences and perspectives and opinions, to a place where we can appreciate each other's differences now. And, we love to be together. And so it is possible, like happily ever after is absolutely possible. And I want that for everyone. But it took a lot of, learning, growth, I would say discomfort and intentionality to get this way. And so I think when you asked about what phase we're in, I think for me,
it sounds like a phase.
Yeah, I think for me right now, I feel like I'm in my phase of intentionality. Like the things that I do, they're for a reason, like the way I interact with my children, the way I interact with Ben.
I love that.
And my family, it's very intentional. And, I think about the impact that I have on other people.
Yeah.
And I really want that for the people that I love. And, if you come to me as a client, that you become part of that, You're
helping people become intentional about their relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were always like that. I think for a long time it felt like we're just surviving.
Right. Exactly. What I'm saying is we went from so far from intentional to I'm really focused on intentionality now.
And do you know, again, I'm just interested in this, like, is there a point that can you look at like 2018 or can you look at COVID or can you look at after our kid got in that one car accident? Like, is there a moment or an era that you can sort of look at and go, this is when we decided to shift from something like survival to something like intentionality?
I can pinpoint a moment, but do you have
Really? I'd love to hear what you have to say.
For me, it was a bout of anxiety. I get really, really, I would get debilitating anxiety. I have throughout our marriage at different points. And for me, it was a time I had 3 or possibly all 4 children. I'm not sure. I can't exactly remember that part, but I was so incapacitated. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't take care of my family. He was trying to run the business and take care of our kids and take care of me. And it was so taxing on everyone. And he didn't know what to do. And so he sent me home to live with my mom for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And it was kind of this really eye-opening experience and an opportunity for me to face all of my fears. It was kind of like being in the crucible of who am I? It was like inner child work before I ever knew what inner child work was. But my mom is a therapist. She's a PhD. And she was a big part of all of that was happening to me. I mean, she did, I love my mom, no disrespect, but she did abandon me when I was 12 years old. She went and lived in a different state. She kind of became comatose. I mean, she just went into a cocoon for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And wasn't
available. Of course you have that
me.
Trigger point.
Yeah. For the most like impressionable years of my life.
When those 5 years where you were how old?
At like 12 to 17.
Jeez.
And then when she came back when I was 17, she came back because my dad and my stepmom had kicked me out of my house and I basically was homeless. I was like couch surfing and it was my senior year of high school. And she came back, but she was so depressed. She didn't ever even leave her room. And so she had a big part of it. She had to do her own healing. And I was so grateful that she was so aware and that had done that work that she could save me from pretty much the same fate. And so that couple of weeks that I spent with my mom at home and facing all my demons and figuring out what I wanted and like how I was going to be intentional. Like I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't going to make those same decisions. And so, I went back to my family and kind of started the process of really hard, intentional work.
That's bonkers that you had to endure all that. And then, but it sounds like your mom rallied and was able to offer you something like healing as an adult.
Absolutely. I mean, she's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, she had her own journey of figuring out who she was and whose she was and, what the purpose of her life was. And that was really hard for everyone.
Yeah. I had this other question from a little bit ago, but now maybe it doesn't feel quite as important. But when you think about you two and being friends and lovers and playmates, like what is it that you do? Like what's your thing? What do you do that?
Yeah, we're pretty active. So when we vacation, it's I was actually, we were talking about this the other day. We like to go to different places we've never been. So we like to vacate first off.
Yeah.
We value that. I'm more of a thrifty and don't like to spend money type of a guy. But when it comes to vacations, Monica's, we have agreed that's something we do and we do often. So we go to places like for instance, we were talking about, we went to Europe, for example. We ate our way through Europe and it was fantastic. But because we were so active, we weren't taking cabs or Ubers everywhere. We were literally walking that whole, I'm thinking of like Italy and Florence, and
we were biking and walking and hiking.
Yeah, and hiking. We love being really active together. So we love to explore new places, but we like Hawaii is one of our favorites where we will hike. I think the first time we went to Hawaii, we hiked over 25 miles in the week that we were there. Hawaii is a beautiful place, but there's a whole bunch of different trails and beautiful sights. And so that's a challenge, a physical challenge, is something we really enjoy.
But that's vacationing. We have, it's really interesting because I had to convince him that vacationing was worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first got married, he was not like a vacationer. He was like you work, you put your head down, you get to work, and that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
And so vacationing has become very important to us. But just on a day-to-day, I mean, we exercise together when we can, early in the mornings. We take walks every single day together. I mean, every evening. Our date nights often include a lot of walking
or bike ride downtown or
scootering, or we just have fun. But I think our thing is talking. We love to talk to each other. I mean, we just share everything. And there's been times where, we've been very intimate with each other, and I've said, "What's your favorite thing about me right now?" And he just, one of the things he says is that I can share anything and everything with you. And so I think our thing is staying active together and really talking and sharing a lot with each other.
Okay. Well, at the risk of soliciting bad marriage advice, what do you have to say to couples that might be listening? Like, what's the best advice you have for them as we think about how to put a bow on this conversation? I'm always curious. I mean, maybe you've already said it, but, and I have my hip pocket answers, but I'm just wondering if you have one.
It's about learning how to really respect and honor each other. And that requires a lot of curiosity and a lot of vulnerability. I think Ben and I have been able to create the life that we have together by staying open and curious, by being very vulnerable, and, just really respecting each other and our differences. And, in the beginning, I think through all the phases, I think we've been very compassionate with each other, very patient with each other. And, we've just had a lot of faith in ourselves and in the process, I think.
Mine would be actually, as I ponder this for a second, and I mentioned it earlier, Zach, I feel like personal development, I realize, and it's not hard to be in an argument with your spouse and realize, man, I can't control my feelings very well. I'm not very patient. I'm not being very respectful or charitable. I need to work on that. Like that, I'm awful at that, and realizing that I could be so much better. And so trying to work on you, and it's not, I don't love the idea that it's all about you and, you do you. That's not what I'm saying, but
I get that.
But I do feel like we each can get better at who we are and how we show up. And so I have tried really hard to do that. I've got a long ways to go. And Monica has as well, where she would just, early in our marriage, it was like, I would say something, it'd be like, holy crap. Like, she got real hot real quick. So collectively, I think we've matured and really focused on getting better as people. Again, we both have a long ways to go, but I think that helps us, have this relationship where we can connect in a better place.
Yeah. That's usually my answer too. Like, I think learning how to take care of your side of the street and showing up as the best partner you know how to show up as, or you can, then that's where you have the most leverage ultimately in trying to make the relationship better. Yeah. And then the thing that you didn't say in your answer, Monica, but I think you said throughout the conversation was just this idea of like really being intentional. Like you don't just like communicate naturally. You communicate because you go out on a walk and you ask questions of each other, or you decide that there are things that you want to do and you do them with some degree of purpose and some degree of shared value set. So Ben, listen, I think you did a great job talking about yourself.
Yeah, you're very nice.
You surprised yourself and everybody, and it happens. I had this one time I was meeting a guy for the first time just as a friend. He asked me for some time and we met up for drinks, and I was like, so what's up, Jake? What's on your mind? And he was like, I don't know. I'm not really good at talking about myself. I was like, that's all right. Why don't you just where are you from? Guy did not shut up for 45 minutes. Literally, he just talked like the entire time. I was like, so what just happened, right?
Your voice, Zach, I think, and the calm way in which you approach people, I think is very inviting.
Maybe. I got a lot of practice. So
yeah.
Listen, thank you guys for giving me your Sunday afternoon. It's been really fun talking to you. I'm excited about your book. What's happening? Is it hitting the shelves anytime soon, or is it out there already?
We're really, really close. I just got the interior design back, and here's what's really cool, Zach. So yesterday I started my day at 4 a.m. in Austin, Texas, and then I flew to Minnesota and then flew home.
Jeez.
Ben picked me up at the airport. I changed my clothes. We jumped in the car, drove 3.5 hours to a friend's wedding in Pocatello, Eastern Idaho, and then did the whole wedding reception, drove back. So we spent a lot of time together, but we had been apart for 4 days.
Yeah.
But what I did was I read him my entire book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
So there's some, a little corrections here and there that we found, and
yeah, he was so helpful. In fact, there was I was telling a story, and of course I changed the names of my clients when I'm telling their stories.
Yeah.
And I did the correct pseudonym first, and then as I kept talking, I changed it back to his name.
Yeah.
And so we've been through all the editing processes. So this is just the design. So I have a list of all the chapters and the things that need fixing. So we're kind of in the final processes of design and editing right now.
Very cool. Well, keep us posted. I'll make sure that we get it in front of people. And yeah, it was good to talk to you both. And thanks so much again for giving me a little snippet of your time.
Thank you, Zach. So fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica and Ben, for coming on and sharing your story with us. Monica is doing some relationship coaching. You can find her at monicatanner.com. She's also on Instagram at monicatanner1. And yeah, if you're looking for bad marriage advice or good marriage advice, as it were, check her out. I encourage you to follow her. Also, check us out on Patreon, looking again for folks who are willing to support Marriage Therapy Radio financially. We are grateful for all of you who are already participating. And if you have ideas about what would make that more valuable for you, let us know. I'm happy to provide content that is meaningful for you, including 15 questions in 15 minutes. If you're interested in participating, shoot me a note, info@marriagetherapyradio.com, and check out the stuff I write at stuffIwrite.com. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're paying attention. And as always, I'm grateful for the time and attention that you're putting into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.